What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to the You Good Homie podcast. This is episode 12, where we talk about forgiveness and reconciliation and all that stuff, and how we handle forgiveness and reconciliation in our lives, and just our experiences with it, and what our advice is for, this kind of topic. Today we have a very, very special guest. It's the one and only Flores. We love you, homie. You're always so wise, and you give like the greatest advice. So we're super excited to have him on today's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, follow us on our new TikTok, and follow us on and subscribe to us on YouTube. Keep interacting with us. We really love it when you guys interact with us. And if you guys have any other future like topics for us to talk about, just comment or DM us on Instagram, anything to get in contact with us, and we'll think about it. Yeah. All right. Hope you guys are staying good, safe, happy, healthy, and we love y'all. Peace.
I love you and I miss you.
Welcome back to Three Filipinos and One Mexican.
Yeah. New title of the podcast. Confirmed.
Okay. If you guys didn't know, we have a special guest today. This is Flores.
Yay! Coughing sound. Yay!
Flores Aquino Mendoza.
All right, Flores, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, boys. My name is Flores. I'm a server. I don't have time to video game, and I love my friends.
He's a server at the best restaurant.
I love that's your like introduction. Like that's my identity. Like
That's my identity. I just work now. But no, yeah. I appreciate the guys bringing me on here. I love my friends, so that's why I'm here. So it's an honor.
Yeah. So today we're talking about forgiveness, letting go of resentments, healing, whatever you want to call it. I think this is probably one of we haven't really done like a mental health specific episode recently. I think we've done like wellness, right? But not like specifically mental health, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't think we've done like
yeah, so this would be more catered towards the actual mental health side. So today we're going to talk about forgiveness, what that looks like, how we experience forgiveness, maybe some of the things that we went through and shit.
Yeah. Traumatic ass shit.
Cool. All right.
Word.
I can do the questions.
Yeah, you got it.
Sure. You guys can think about it. What do you think forgiveness means? So this is the first question. What do you think forgiveness means, and what part does it play in relationships among people?
They want to go first because
It's kind of loaded.
I mean, I can go first.
Yeah,
I mean, like the answer I put on the Instagram question.
get on your knees and pray.
Forgive me,
No,
Father. Just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
Father,
But
for our
what I
sins.
said was what forgiveness is so say I'll give you a situation, right? Like say someone like wronged you or whatever. Like they did something bad to you, they hurt your feelings, they broke up with you, or they cheat, whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
They did something bad to you. So forgive, and obviously you feel bad about that situation, right? Like you're like, oh, why? How can this person do this to me? I thought like they saw me as a friend, or they loved me, or whatever that word is for you. And you may hold resentment, right? You may be like, oh, I hate this person now. Like how could they do this to me? Like, they're such a bad person and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all of those like thoughts and feelings, like they breed negativity, and they just make you feel bad.
Yeah.
And and having that negative energy can also like translate into other areas of your life too, because for say like you're working and stuff, right? And like you're working through this trauma and whatever, and you can't focus on your job or whatever you're doing, or whether it be a hobby or something.
It's in your head.
It's in your head, and you can't focus fully and dedicate your energy to whatever you're doing, whether that be a hobby or work or something else.
Yeah.
Your other relationships in your life, right?
Yeah, it carries over to.
It carries over.
For sure.
And what I said forgiveness is about finding peace. It's not necessarily about like letting that person back into your life, that person who wronged you back into your life. It's about finding peace and letting go of that negative energy. And it's okay to be like, yes, what they did is wrong, but forgiving that person doesn't change that what they did is wrong. It's still wrong, right?
It's the behavior and the
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. And that's something I really advocate for, and like separating the behavior and the person, because and this will come up later in the question, but people change. Some people don't change, and those people like just honestly just like
fuck them.
You gotta learn your lesson.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like you want to rationalize, like, you know, they're not a bad person, they're just make mistakes, they have good intentions, they just fuck up. But then sometimes like you give them so many chances, and then you just like, it's not even empathy, you're kind of making excuses for behavior. It's like
it's like, at what point do you like understand?
It's like, you know, like, okay, this person's just a fucked up person.
Yeah, it's really fucked up to say.
There was an Instagram response which I'd like to tie into my response as well, and said, "You got to learn to forgive, or you're gonna hurt your heart." And I feel like that's true, because what my response was like finding peace, because when you have all that negative energy, and I've had an experience where it's like and Flores, you responded with like the grudge thing. Not like The Grudge the movie, but like holding grudges. But like I've had experience like holding grudges against somebody and it for a long time, and it's not like, I feel like honestly I wasted a lot of like a big part of my life just like trying to prove that person wrong, and like, I'm gonna like one up you and whatever
I'm gonna be better than them.
Exactly.
Man.
And it's not until I had like a conversation with that person that like, you know, you were a different person back then, and like I understand now where you're coming from, and like I also had to like apologize to them for like
shit. Yeah, you did
that. Putting out that negative energy towards them into the world,
facilitating that whole
exactly, right? And you also have to and when you go through that cycle, you also have to forgive yourself for like, because I mentioned that like I felt like I wasted a huge part of my life just like having a grudge, right? But you know, it's like
it's not worth it.
I've learned my lesson now, and then it's like, you know, if you want to move on from something, it's like forgiveness is, as Jasen said, a really great tool to do that, because it just shows that you're willing to meet in the middle with yourself or other people. And it's like, you know, it's a good way to find peace.
Albeit very lengthy.
But it takes time.
It's an uncomfortable process. But,
it's something you really have to like grow through what you go through.
And sometimes you don't even know you're holding on to that resentment.
Exactly. And it's also like just one more tidbit. Like it's also hard when you have yes men around you. Which will just facilitate that. Like you know how it is. So somebody will be like, "Oh my god, I hate this person," blah blah blah, and they're like, "they're fucking assholes.
Fuck them.
They're bitches."
A circle jerk of anger. Like
I get it. That sometimes like that's what you need to hear, but it should definitely not be like facilitated throughout the whole thing. Like throughout your whole like process of like really taking in what happened.
Because I can imagine it helps like validate your feelings.
Exactly.
But then know that you're not really. There's a difference between like feeling your feelings and then magnifying and elongating those.
Because you're like not really moving on from it at all.
You're just the like, same ideology that
you're letting it fester.
Fester. It's a good word.
Disgusting.
And like
What do you guys feel about forgiveness?
What do you think, Ron?
I'll just add this little tidbit. I think like forgiveness to me just means you're maturing, like from whatever relationship you're coming from, or whatever kind of situation you were coming from. I think forgiveness is a good perspective on you maturing your perspective, because I think if you don't have the ability to forgive in that situation, I just think that you're not ready, fully able to handle that situation in its own, right? Obviously you go through like all the stages of whatever you need to use to handle it, but I think forgiveness is near the end where you're like finally like, okay, this person did me wrong, this person's kind of fucked up, or this person isn't fucked up, or whatever your feelings are towards them, like whatever they did to me really hurt me, but at the end of the day, if I really want to truly get through this situation and truly move on and truly move past it, then I need to forgive them. And I think also like forgiving yourself for like fucking letting it fester and letting you feel those emotions is a good thing. Like self-forgiveness is definitely a thing that you need to learn as well, that will help you mature in that relationship in general. So I just think that forgiveness just in general is a sign of maturation. I think that's what I would call it.
Yeah, I think it's a very adult thing to put your headspace in someone else's shoes, which is a hard thing to do, especially when someone's being like an asshole.
And
I'm very glad we're doing this episode now because compared to the very first UJH podcast, I definitely had a lot of pain from a lot of the shit going on. So I think this was a perfect timing. But like, you know,
new year, new me.
For those of you who are watching, for those of you who are watching,
for real though,
you can think about someone that you just dislike and like, what do you dislike about them, right? Yeah. And there's probably things that you may not know why they did it, but like, you know, it does help. Now, is it a justification for the behavior? Absolutely not. Like, I think, and if they're continuously doing it, like, you don't owe them that energy to reciprocate that love. You know, you also deserve respect and kindness, but understand that, like, you know, there's a reason why people do things, right? If you're a person who believes in astrology, like, it could be the stars, it could be trauma, it could be past experiences, it can be someone's mentality and how they believe what is right. For example, like, I talk about all the time how I grew up in a very competitive environment, and a lot of people just like lack mindfulness. And that's became like a trigger for me, like going forward, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a point where I was like, you know what? I don't need to reparent people anymore. It's just one of those things where it's like, fuck it.
Shake my hand.
They're mentally in high school, and I have to be okay with that. And I just can't keep reciprocating that energy. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not being petty. It's just a matter of like, hey, like that's enough.
Maintain your boundary. You know?
Yeah, it's a boundary.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I think actually Jasen and Vince. And yeah, all three of the guys actually hit like forgiveness on the head. Like I have the same ideology. It's just like, it's just something that, you know, everyone like expects you to do, and you do it because like, hey, like I fucked up. I'm gonna ask for forgiveness, stuff like that. Of course, it's up to them to give me like the validation back, but you know, forgiveness is a two-way thing. Like you treat me with respect, I treat you with respect, and we go our separate ways. Especially when like people have like wronged you in the past, like it's like you take so much time to like let it like again like fester, and you're just like, man, why the fuck did he do that to me? Like why did she do that to me? Like I thought we were cool, I thought like she loved me, stuff like that. But like you start to feel like really bitter and really terrible about yourself. But forgiveness is definitely like, in my opinion, it's like a very long stretch of like recognizing like who you are as a person. Like whether you can like move on from it or stay bitter, like it's up to you. Like because I've seen
adults the whole 10 plus years.
Man, they're like living their like retirement years like feeling so bitter about someone that's done them wrong like 10 years ago. I'm like, and you see that like when you like work with people, it's just like, dude, like is something wrong with you? Like is something up there? Like you good homie? Like
good homie, for real.
Like forgiveness is definitely like it's like something that we're taught as kids. Like you earn it, or you have to facilitate it constantly around your day, but like
it takes work.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of like mental strength to even like put yourself out there, be like, hey, like I know I fucked up, or you fucked up, and
understand why they fucked up.
Stuff like that. Like it's really difficult. But I think that for people that like achieve forgiveness, or like are forgiven, or like get the closure they need, like it definitely runs like miles in the long run.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. So question number 2 is, do you think anyone has the capacity to be redeemable, and perhaps the capacity to change, learn, and grow, even like the evilest of evil people? I think I can go for this one because I actually have a story. I have a couple stories, but I'll tell the more important one. So me and my brother just recently had a family member pass away, and like this family member, like hearing stories from my like dad about this family member, and just my own personal experiences with this family member, I like absolutely did not have a good relationship with this person. And like I don't know, I for a long time, like I think like a good like 2 to 5 years, I just held resentment, because I was just like, man, why the hell did she beat my ass? Like like why did she like constantly put me through this kind of like trauma? And then when my dad would tell me his stories about this family member, I'd be like, why would she put him through that trauma? So not only was I holding on to like my dad's trauma, like from him telling me it, but I was holding on to my own trauma. And I was like, man, I hate this person. Like, I never want to see this person. Like, if we would see them at family parties, I would like, wouldn't even say hi. Like, I would just go straight upstairs with like the rest of my cousins or something like that. Right.
Yep.
And it wasn't until like I got older that like I started to, like, my opinion of them started to soften. Like the resentment and the trauma and all that stuff was still there. But now I would start saying hi. I would start like blessing her. I would start like, you know, the Filipino bless and like start hugging her and stuff. And like the more and more I kind of got softer towards this family member, the more and more I kind of like was just like, I think I realized I started to forgive her for all this stuff. And when me and my dad finally sat down and talked about like this family member, he was like, yeah, I forgave her a long time ago. Like, I don't care how much fucked up shit she did. Like, there's like horror stories about like how he would work and then she would take his money and then go and gamble it in the Philippines. And it's like, that's fucked up. Like, there's no question about it. Like, anyone would be in their right mind would be pissed off and resentful from it. But my dad was like, yo, like, I forgave her because she's family and because like she only lives one life and she's getting up there in age, right? So I have to forgive her and I just want to repair that relationship. So over time, I started to think that way. Like, I think I should start repairing that relationship. And it wasn't until, to be honest, recently that she passed away where I actually felt things when she passed, because I was like, if I didn't reconcile with her and if I didn't kind of like go through those emotions, I think I'd still be like, man, I'm glad she's dead. Or like, I would say like fucked up things. And like, I think in that sense, that's like
a self-righteous thing.
That's like self-righteous. And it's almost evil in a sense, right? For like wishing that kind of shit on someone. But like, I was actually like, man, I'm actually sad that like I didn't get to spend more time with her, that I didn't get to understand her more. And like, I think she, at the end, she wasn't like that evil person that she turned out to be. Obviously she was human and she made mistakes, but like, even if you do the most fucked up things, like I think you're still redeemable. And that, I think also like on a smaller scale, like it goes for like any relationships you're in, whether it be like you got ghosted in block true combo, or it was like an actual like long-term like
10 plus years
shitty relationship. Like, I've recently experienced both, and like it's a shitty feeling, and like I talk about it all the time and I joke about it all the time, but like I was feeling really shitty about myself because of those situations, because I was holding on to it. Like, I was like, man, like, why are these women treating me like this? Like, why am I like, and then it would make me more depressed. It would make me feel so shitty about myself. And then I think like just one day I was just like, man, why am I still thinking about these people? Like, I should just forget, like, I should just forgive them and forget about it. Like, if they don't pay me any like attention to mine, or if they're like just stuck in their ways, then I should just leave it, like let them be and just hold that. So I think
you have to hold that.
It's just I think like everyone does have the capacity to like change and learn and grow, whether it's yourself or if it's someone that's done you really, really wrong or moderately wrong, right? I think forgiveness just opens up that path to really have that capacity to change and grow.
Yeah, you're woke per se.
Yeah.
Stay woke.
Just woke.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I'll chime in next. Are you finished? You're finished.
Yeah. You go for
it. No worries. Okay. Yeah. I can chime in next. I definitely think that everybody has like the capacity to be redeemable, because like I just think they need to see themselves as redeemable.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when they do bad things, they like to self-sabotage themselves. And they like to like paint them as like, you know, like I'm irreplaceable, or like, sorry, I'm like, I can't be fixed, or like I'm like broken.
I have no value.
I have no value. Like, just, you know,
because I'm a bad person that deserves the worst.
Exactly. Very self-sabotage, and they know what they're doing, and they know how much they've done, and it makes them feel like they have no value. But I think that people in the end like I like to think that people are very, you know, can be redeemed for what they've done, because a lot of people have done pretty bad things. I've done some pretty fucked up things. Like, and you know, I love to think that in a perfect world, like we could all just like forgive people for what they've done and just like move on with their lives, but it doesn't work that way. And it took me a long time to realize that Like some people, just are stuck in this bubble and don't want to change. And they will continue to do so and go and tell everybody that like, hey, I'm a fucked up person. You should stay away from me. Hey, I'm a fucked up person. Like you shouldn't get involved with me. Like it's just like watching like a dumpster fire.
Yeah, almost like they're like manifesting that shit or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Prophecy. They're making sure that's true because they fully believe that they're bad.
Like they fully believe it, and like it must like stem from like some trauma back then. Like and it's just like really unfortunate to see. Yeah, it makes me sad actually. Like people paint themselves like terrible people, but you in a different perspective, like they might not have been that bad.
Yeah. Like what sin is irredeemable? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I think that's a like philosophical question because like I'm thinking of like in the past where like I'm thinking of one individual that definitely had she was an adult at the time and I had to go through a lot of like me and a close friend had to go through a lot of narcissistic abuse when dealing with this person, right? And then I kind of like had to just put my like emotions aside, but like you know what, like I also met this person's parents, right? Like the person who's wrong, where it's like, and I also know that altruism, empathy, and like the nurturing wasn't really modeled for her, growing up. So it's like one of those things where it's like, you know what, and like I feel some people be like, oh, like you can make your own choices, blah blah and blah blah. I was like, yeah, that's true. That's very much true. Like everyone makes their own choices, but like I feel like some people have more tools than others. Because if you're someone who's never had like love modeled in your life, chances are it's very easy for you to hurt someone. For example, like and it was cool because I was talking about this with a coworker saying how like statistically speaking, he was saying how like men with like single parent like parents, like just mostly a mother, tend to fall victims of crime and like abuse and like all that shit, right? And like of course that's just a correlation. So one of the implications was like because they don't really have a father figure to model after, right? And so like it's very easy to like kind of see someone's behavior and just be like, fuck that person. And like it's so freaking easy, right? And I think that's like a biological thing of protecting yourself of like I'm not dealing with this shit. But if you're a person who really cares about the relationship, whatever that is, then I think you might have to give them a chance. Which is very hard. Like that is extremely hard to do, and like sometimes you might not be able to do with everyone, because some people are very stuck in their ways, and they've kind of been socialized to think a certain way, and you kind of just have to accept where they're at.
It's not your problem.
Accept where they're at, but I don't know. I do believe that everyone has the capacity to be redeemed. So I mentioned earlier this thing called the self-fulfilling prophecy. So this is basically it's like the scientific way of explaining manifestation. So it's the idea that if you believe something, you will unconsciously do behaviors to make sure that prediction or belief is true. Like for example, let's say I'm a racist and I hate black people. Like let's say like I think they're criminals, I think they're aggressive, I think they're dumb, I think they're incompetent, right? But all my friends are very progressive, right? So I am very well behaved when there's a black person in the room, right? However, when I speak to them like they are like they're incompetent, right? I talk down to them, right? Without me even realizing them, right? And then finally get pissed off and they're like, yo, what the fuck, right? And I'm like, oh, see, black, they're angry, they're black, right? And like I reaffirm those ideas, right?
Rehearsing a stereotype.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Stupid.
That concept of believing someone is bad can apply to someone who has wronged you, right? Where when someone wrongs you, you tend to even see the most bad things they do to reaffirm that belief, and therefore, facilitate that kind of tension and to make them more of a bad person.
Facts.
Right? And whether you want to see it as science or spirituality, the point is that really believing someone is bad, you will only see that and you will facilitate that behavior in that person. If you're always like bickering with someone and you always see them as a bad person, then they will constantly be a bad person. You know what I mean? And like, with some people who've like are I guess evil people, like it's very easy to be like that person's a sinner. Right, but if no one gave him a chance, how can they be redeemed? That's true. And I'm not gonna use specific sin because it can, I don't want to do
that stems to like
that's a whole different episode. But shit, it's like understand that like do you care about believing that a person's bad, or do you really want to humanize this person and see them improve?
Yeah.
Which is some people don't. They rather just think a person's bad and they're a bad person.
Go on with their life. Are you really willing to like look past what they did?
Yeah.
Or are you looking for a flaw in their character
to prove that they're a bad person?
And to label them as bad. Yeah.
Because I've done that so many times, like all the time.
I think we all do, but like if you're trying to be genuine, if you're like trying to find like some sort of like compatibility or relationship with someone, like, and all you scout out are these red flags, like you're not. What are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a difficult thing to navigate because you had to like really be a little bit of a critical thinker of like, is this a behavior that's going to continue going, or am I just like, is this a behavior that I'm facilitating? You know what I mean? Because you really have to reflect on yourself with doing that. Yeah.
And I think like that behavior is natural though, because like you, as humans, as like human beings, we don't want to get hurt, right? So we're we're trying to guard ourselves and stuff like that. But it's also, if you think about it, it's also toxic to yourself, because we talked about earlier, like holding onto that negative energy can take over your life. But also if you're kind of always viewing that person who's like wronged you or who's an evil person, who you think is an evil person, in a bad light, but you don't see that they're actually trying to improve, they're actually trying to change their ways, you're kind of discrediting their effort, and they kind of feel discouraged and be like, like
there's no point in
there's no point. Like I can never win.
Yeah, exactly. So people always see me as a bad person. Maybe I am a bad person.
Maybe I should just like maybe I should just like put the mask on.
It's easier to like be an asshole and instead of going through all this like growth and change and always running into a wall of people who like don't believe in me.
It's really hard to satisfy other people.
It's easier to just embrace.
Embrace it.
Exactly. Instead of trying to prove them wrong.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah, and so it's like kind of hard to improve when I actually have that like you're a bad person kind of thing. Yeah. It's and like and that's why I'm always like advocate for forgiveness. Again, you don't owe anyone anything. You don't have to forgive, but if you want to heal and you want to repair relationships, it does help.
You have to allow yourself. It's like, there's not a timeline to forgiveness for sure. But like, I mean, it definitely gets worse over time because you just like, again, you just let it fester in you and make it bad. Like you make it your identity. Like you're broken, you're hurt. Yeah. The first thing you tell people is like, I just like got a relationship. I'm like fucked up. Like I don't even care about my relationships or well-being. Like no one wants to be around that.
No.
Like it's bad because I was that person at one point. My friends were like, dude, like what the fuck is wrong with you? Like can you like go get some help? Like I remember like I don't know, before like in the relationship like very long time ago, like I was not myself. And oddly enough, my friend, he's like very, like out of it, ditzy. Like he's not really paying attention. He's not really there at all times. But like I hang out with him. He's like, bro, like you don't look so good. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you don't look like yourself. Like you don't look like who you're not Flores right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, really? He's like, yeah. Like who is this guy? Like you're just like an empty shell of a man. Like go home, get some sleep. Like take care of yourself. I'm like,
damn.
It was like the biggest reality check from like the person I would expect it the least. And it just takes that one person and that one step,
outside perspective.
To be like, maybe I need to start looking at this from a different perspective and like start to go through the emotions,
No, for real.
Anything to add?
I mean, like on that emotions part, like whenever you go through like forgiveness, it's
a roller coaster.
It's like kind of like opening a can of worms, right? It's like you don't want to feel all of this stuff. It's more comfortable to
you might avoid
and it's weird because like
you subconsciously avoid it
it's weird because it feels better to historically it feels better. It feels more comfortable to hold on to anger rather than like fixing something and like letting go of it, which is kind of weird. It's kind of weird,
it's weird behavior,
but it definitely like you need to be able to forgive and to like start repairing your relationships or even like forgive yourself. You need to be comfortable with feeling your feelings. Because once you're like, okay, like, you know, I'm ready to forgive you, but you know, this and this happened and I didn't like that, and then like you're kind of just like revisiting your trauma,
it's hard.
It's really hard, you know. But
it's
sometimes you need to get through it to, like, you know, move forward with your life instead of
What a good segue.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Segue into the next question. We're going to talk about the advantage of forgiveness. So why would you forgive a person who's caused you pain and hurt? And are there scenarios that you think it's okay to allow yourself not to forgive?
I think with repeated behavior and not fixing, I think that's something I would say where it's like, you know what, like, just honestly, if you're mad, I can't blame you. Like, I'm not gonna try to gaslight you, like, you need to forgive blood second of war. I'm like, no, like, fucking, if this person's being a fucking asshole and they're not changing no matter how much you tried, and you try putting your foot down, you try mediating, you try every like solution of problem solving, and they're not working, then like, honestly, like, I think sometimes when you don't need to forgive, you just
put your foot down and leave, man.
Yeah. Well, pertaining to this question, like, what do you believe in this statement where it's like, I forgive you, but I'm still not okay with you?
Oh yeah, I think that's a very powerful statement, and it's like
that's what forgiveness is.
A lot of people get the wrong idea that if you're forgiven, everything is all good.
No.
Forgiveness is only the first step to. Okay, so there's forgiveness, and then there's reconciliation. So forgiveness is like, okay, I'm ready to like even talk to you or see your face, right? And then reconciliation is like the work after to repair what you've done, or what they've done to you, or
what happened.
What happened. So it's we need to like separate the two, because a lot of people think that, oh, like, I say sorry, I'm gonna say sorry, and then like it's all good, right? Like I can just go back doing
no
whatever
action has been done.
Yeah, exactly. So the reconciliation part, you need to understand, like, if you're the one who wronged the other person, you need to understand what you did that was wrong, and that requires communication on your part. Be like, okay, what did I do that was so bad, and understanding how what you did made them feel, instead of constantly being on the defense. Be like, oh, but I like
the reason I did this because of this.
Finding excuses. Man.
And like the worst thing you can do in that situation when you're trying to solve a problem is put the blame back on the other person. I did this because you did this, and like you are always doing this, and you know, it's like it's not solving anything, and you're kind of just walking backwards, like you've been forgiven, but you're kind of like you're fumbling the bag, bro. You're fumbling the bag.
You can't even come in the bag because you're fumbling.
In the bag because you're fumbling the bag.
Just fucking dropping the shit, bro. That's a very good point.
Viv, what her response to the question was actually like, it's pretty interesting. So she said, to me, forgiveness is like a gift or a luxury. If you've been wronged, you don't owe forgiveness to whoever has wronged you. Likewise, if you've wronged someone, you aren't owed forgiveness and shouldn't expect to be forgiven. I think that's a lot. The last part is like the most important part.
It takes humility.
Because if you did something wrong to someone, and then like you just say sorry, and then you're like, oh, but I said sorry. Like,
and then you're like, bro, what? I just said sorry.
I just said sorry. Again, forgiveness and reconciliation. It's a different thing.
I said sorry, bro. What's the hell?
Yeah, he's like, no.
I met a lot of people, and even people like our age too. I'm like, bro, stop spending so much money on stupid shit and get a therapist. Like, fuck, man.
Bro. Fuck.
Go to therapy.
Yeah, I think from like that discussion, I think it's the most important thing is for everyone to realize is, you know, forgiveness is only the first step. It's not like the first and final step. It's the first step.
Be all like, we're friends again, but
it takes work. Definitely.
Anything to add, Jason?
No, I think it's good. I really said what I wanted to say on the previous question, so I think it's good to move on to the next.
Cool.
Sure.
All right. I think just to end off this one, I think it is there are scenarios where you really don't allow people to forgive, and I think that's in like the really serious cases where they've like really, really done you wrong, and like obviously it's like, you know, like the really major crimes like murder and like rape and like all that stuff, and I think that's stuff that like you really gotta like, you really got to kind of be like, nah, I think that's kind of off limits for this kind of stuff. If you need to do it for yourself, and if you need to give yourself a peace of mind, then yes, I feel like the statement that I forgive you, but I'll never be okay with you kind of statement always applies. Even I guess to the smaller things too, like, I don't know, breakups and stuff like that. Like if you were in a really, really toxic relationship, or if you were a really, really toxic friendship, even, I think it's okay to just be like, yeah, I forgive you for being an asshole. I forgive you for being like shitty to me, but I still don't ever think I'll find myself being okay with you going forward.
Yeah. That's valid. For sure.
Do you think it's always like that? Like, is there a such thing as an irredeemable sin?
Damn, that's a loaded question. I think my own personal opinion is, I think an irredeemable sin would literally be like stuff like murder and like rape and like just like stuff that's like the serious sins, I guess you would call it, right? I think those are irredeemable. I think, like, personally, like, I don't think putting myself in a person's shoes, like trying to be as empathetic as I can, I don't think I could ever forgive them personally.
Yeah. I really empathize with that for sure. Yeah. Like, I think there's definitely some irredeemable sins as well. Yeah. I had like a family member, like a couple of years back, like something really bad happened to them.
Yeah.
And like those guys, like when you see like their faces, like you're just like, man, like fuck you. Yeah. I wish the worst upon you.
Yeah.
But you try to like take it back a notch and like really understand, like so hard, like why
you're trying your hardest.
You're trying.
Yeah. And I think it's a really good point, because whenever someone has done something wrong to you or someone you love, the first step to forgiveness is always, as Jasen said, putting yourself in that other person's shoes and trying to understand why they did what they did. And maybe seeing like, okay, maybe they felt like this, and maybe their circumstances like, but there are some actions where it's just like I don't understand it. Right? It gets to like that fucked up part where it's like, I don't want to think about it anymore.
I don't want to think about what's going through your head when you're doing this shit.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, there's limits for sure.
Yeah, I think that's like irredeemable sin. Like you cannot forgive.
Because there's some things where it's like you're rationalizing like empathy, but then there's times where you're rationalizing excuses. It's not really empathy; you're making excuses for the behavior, and you're not really allowing yourself to feel. Would you say that all abuse stories are the same?
I think so. I would probably say, because like it has to be definitely along the lines of like, life altering.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Or like it's like there's nothing you can do to change it. Like, I live with this trauma.
Like, I have to live with this. I have to like continue my life feeling like this
for the rest of my life.
Of my life. And there's literally nothing scientifically, physically, there's nothing you can do to take it away.
No, that makes sense.
Like that's life altering, and that's irredeemable in my opinion.
Nice.
Yeah. Good question.
What is it 4?
4. Forgiveness for yourself.
So forgiveness for yourself. Do you ever see yourself as a bad person, and are you able to let go and come to terms with who you are right now, or who you were with the past, who you are in the past? What would you recommend to someone who needs help forgiving their past mistakes?
That was definitely me. I especially was not happy with myself in high school and all university.
Me too.
I think it was because I guess it's the values that were instilled in me. I always try to understand why I behaved the way I behaved because of the environment I was in. I think constantly I was always put in a very competitive environment. And, just like toxic masculinity in general, where a lot of times we're socialized that our value is on capital, power, bitches, the idea of like, and I can see why men like to treat like women like commodities and like
currency.
Like currency. They see where they're dehumanizing, right?
So
because they're taught to do that. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think I was ever like that with one, but I definitely was that with like everyone. I just didn't give a fuck. Like I was
a pawn to me.
I was like one of those like
split the Red Sea bitches.
Unapologetic people who just didn't give a fuck about people's like emotions, right? Where I just kind of just did not care because I cared about my needs and that was it. And I think it was because like a lot of times I felt alone. And I was trying to find a way to give myself value. So I would need to just put myself first so that I can be successful in that sense, whether that's capital, I was fame, whether that's a skill set, to give myself value. And then I was at a point I was like, fuck, like, why do I keep doing this? And like, you know, will I ever be enough for people?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially if I'm treating people like this, right? Because I know a lot of people who are very in this like kind of like hustle mentality, and I always critique it a little bit. Like just capitalism in general, where they definitely want to get the bag, and I respect that. I think that's your life, and if you believe that makes you happy, that's cool. But understand that like where you spend your energy, definitely you will see success in there, right? So you spend your energy in like a career, you will find success in there. If you don't really spend time in relationships, you can't be surprised that they fail. That is something that is something. And that's so true. A lot of times like relationships would fail, not just like romantic but platonic. And I used to just see myself as a bad person. I just was like, you know, every time I go back to my old behaviors, I think about like all the shit I would do, because I was very good at
your laptop died.
I was very good at setting boundaries, but I was also good at just like telling, like, if I knew someone's emotional trigger, I would purposely push their buttons to piss them off. To like put alpha. You know what I mean? To put my foot down, right? So it's like, and honestly, it did work. No one fucked with me. I was like almost like invincible, and I felt very powerful. And I didn't have to worry about anyone like crossing my hand, because they're like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna, you know, last time I tried to, you know, bully Jasen got pissed off and just fucking emotionally abused me, kind of thing. And I'm not saying I emotionally abuse or anything,
emotional damage.
But that was something, a tactic I always do all the time. I always rationalize, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you cross me, then I'm gonna cross you. And then, you know, therefore you won't do it again, right? But but as I got older, I was like, you know what? I think my values kind of changed, and I was like, I really want to have healthy relationships. Like, I don't really care about the bag. I don't care about this like capital success and like these ideologies I was forced to learn. You know, I really had to unlearn. I really had to unlearn those behaviors. And so like I constantly I find myself going back to those behavior where I get very like angry, and I know exactly what someone's triggers, and I purposely push their buttons to piss them off so that they don't fuck with me, right? And I still do this to this day, because I know it's very petty, but I know how to do it, and it's a behavior that I've learned, and like it's just almost like a skill set that I cannot unlearn.
Hey, put all your points in it, bro.
I had to like purposely like stop myself, you know, from being like that, right? So a lot of times it took me a while to be like, you know what? It's something I can do, but it's not something I have to do, and it's not what defines me. You know what I mean? And true. Just be like, you know, even though that's a skill I learned, I also learned how to mediate conflict. You know, I also learned how to talk about my feelings. I learned how to be a little more vulnerable in how I speak, not just with stoicism, but just like with raw emotion, really being able to be like human, which is something a skill set I just never did. Like emotional intelligence was not prevalent in my household. You know what I mean? So like that, you know, understand that like just because you are in a certain way at this point, it does not mean that you're unchanging. You're a person that can change, and you can be like a better person. Right. Everything you're feeling right now is temporary. And you have the capacity to become whole, healed, and fulfilled again.
Damn. I think for me, it's
please.
I think for me, like forgiving myself was a. Hold on, we'll wait till pull up a question.
No, you can tell me about. Do you know about the? Like, can you forgive yourself?
Oh yeah.
Any advice for anyone that needs to forgive them?
So I think for me, I've always had a hard time like trying to forgive myself. It's really tough, because I've always had like a low self-esteem of my own person, and I think even younger, I was just like when people would just label me as an asshole, I would just take it, because I'd just be like, if I'm going to treat people like shit, then I will continue to treat people like shit because I'm an asshole, and I really bought into that, like, and I really kept going with it, and I think like just. Like I was never able to forgive myself for the things that I've constantly done, like whether it be I wronged someone or I fucked up in something. I had a really, really hard time like forgiving myself. It was I still to this day I still like hold like a part of me really, really doesn't like to forgive myself, where I'm just like, oh fuck, like I can't believe I did this, I can't believe I did that. And like I still think about it, like when I'm laying down at night and it's like 12 in the morning and I'm like, fuck, why did I do this? And I think it's a habit I'm slowly learning how to do, is slowly like letting myself forgive myself and literally just like letting go of like the things that I've done and who I was in the past. And I still,
do you find yourself being a critic of yourself? Like,
yeah, like all the fucking time.
Hard,
I'm always like,
it's hard not to.
I'll always like look at myself in the mirror and I'll be like, man, I'm fucking ugly. Or like, I'll be like, I can't believe my body did a hidden gem yesterday. I'm so fucking fat.
A hidden gem.
Or I'll be like,
tangents.
Yeah. or like I'll be like, man, why did I say that to Lawrence? I feel like such an asshole.
Yeah.
Or and I think I think to be honest, it's a product of like the environment I'm in.
Yeah.
And forgiveness to yourself and forgiveness to other people wasn't very prevalent in our household growing up. I think like I love my mom and I love my dad. This is a big disclaimer, but I don't think that either of my parents were very forgiving people. Like they don't really forgive each other fully, and they don't really forgive themselves fully. Like especially when either of them kind of fucks up, they kind of like a lot of the times when growing up, when I would see it, they'd hang it over each other's head, like what they did, and they would constantly like hurt each other using that. And I think that me growing up, I just kind of saw that as normal, and I was just
modeled that behavior.
I was just like, this is, I never have to forgive someone because they're always in the wrong. It was never me. And I think once I finally started to develop kind of that psyche where I'm like, I'm actually fucking up. Like I'm actually like fucking up. And then I had to learn that shit later in life where I was like, I need to learn how to forgive myself because I'm fucking up, but I also need to let go of it because this shit is just eating me up inside.
You're a sinner and you're probably gonna sin again?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Oh, for real?
For me, it's like one kind of step which hindered a lot of like forgiving myself for my mistakes was like negative self-talk.
Yes.
And it's like, if I do something bad, in that moment I'm like, oh my god, you're so dumb. Like, why would you fucking do that? Or like something small, or like
you look the trash of the earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Cringe. and like it. When you get into another situation, like without kind of realizing that, yes, you did wrong, and then, this is what you need to do to fix it. When you get into another situation like that, you don't know what to do because you, in your head while it's going on, you're just gonna be like, oh my God, like don't fuck up, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what to do. Your brain's going into like panic mode because like all you want to avoid is for yourself not to, or like for me to not say like, oh, to experience that negative self-talk again. Like I don't want to in those instances, like I didn't really know what to do because my brain was just like, okay, like don't mess up, and not thinking through what I'm doing. And then when I do end up messing up again, they're like, oh my God, you're so dumb, why do you do that again?
Why'd you do it again?
Why do you do it again? And it's like,
fuck,
you need to step outside of that and be like, yeah, okay, I acknowledge first. Acknowledgement is a like really important step that you did do something wrong and did do something bad. And then if what you did wrong affected somebody else, then asking for that forgiveness and then saying, okay, like, can you explain to me how what I did hurt you without any bias, without any like intent of saying, without any intent of like proving them wrong. Just go in there and just say, you know
listen.
what? Just listen.
Yeah.
Just listen.
It's
and
the best thing you can do.
and then like what I got from that was like I take their feedback and like take what they said, even though it might like hurt me and kind of expose the flaws that I have in myself.
Yeah.
And the key thing there is to not take it personally and say like, okay, this is what I need to do next time and how I need to improve. And on the other side, avoiding that, saying like, oh, why did you do that? Like
guilt.
Yeah, for sure.
And the important thing is like, we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I know coming from like an immigrant Asian family, it's
that's
like
not allowed.
Failure is not like taught as a good thing. Or
you do something right the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
And only time.
And then you feel guilty about not being perfect. And you know what? It's a lesson that I've learned throughout my life. It's like,
Yeah, man.
it's not, you're not always going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. And honestly, you need to make mistakes in life to learn.
Yeah.
Facts.
So fuck that perfection shit. No one is perfect.
No one is.
And
if they are, they're fucking insane.
They're insane.
Bro. They're literally
They're not-
sociopaths, bro.
They're Jesus Christ himself.
They're not.
They're robots.
It's like, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Like taking on to Asian culture, I feel like what you guys said, like when you do it first, it's like you have to do it perfect, and that's the only time. And then if you fail, it's
Once.
like you're expected. They expect you to do it again.
Yeah.
Like they expect you to fail again.
Yeah.
And then that's fucked up. It's like,
man.
why would you expect me to fail again?
Yeah.
Like even after the first time. Obviously, I know like in some cases I'm going to do it again, but like.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you believe in me to change?
Yeah, they pray on
Exactly.
downfall, bro.
Yeah. And then also accept that you're going to do it again, because you're not always going to critically think every action of your day, every second of your day. I'm going to be like, oh, I got to be careful not to do this one specific thing. You're human and you got other, like, I think we've talked about it in previous episodes, that you got 100% of your focus to give, and you can't always micromanage your actions. You just got to live your life.
I probably said this before, but you can be like the most empathetic and mindful person in the whole world, but you're still not a mind reader, and you can still hurt someone.
Exactly.
No matter,
You still have the capability to be an asshole.
yeah. Like it doesn't matter how good of you are as a person, and like, you know, good with other people and like kindness, whatever. Like in life, you will hurt someone.
Yeah.
Unintentionally or intentionally.
And that's okay, to be honest.
fine.
That's okay as long as you
Understand what you
acknowledge it
acknowledge.
and take it upon yourself to ask for forgiveness and do the reconciliation at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the worst thing that can happen is you go along life not real.
Man, and then you fuck everyone over.
Yeah, you know, it's Mercury Gatorade today. Yeah,
Fucking moons and Gatorade.
I'm
today.
sorry, like
The moons and
it's just who I am.
What flavor? Blue.
Sorry, there's a crystal stuck in my
Gatorade.
asshole.
This looks like my fucking asshole, man.
Anyways, that's our usual astrology trash talk. We love you guys, but whatever.
I feel like our woman demographic just went down.
Yeah, bro, I love
so
astrology.
sorry, dudes.
I'm a Libra, ladies.
I think we'll definitely talk
Sorry,
about
boys.
that. Maybe in a more like,
So to give us guidance,
because I know a lot of us. I think a lot of us have had like negative experiences with dealing with like, and not just women, but like I know there's some men too that believe in astrology, and we had very experiences where people would antagonize us using stars.
Oh
and
my
it
God,
was not fun. But we'll talk about that in another episode. Like right now, just
forgiveness.
yeah.
Forgiveness.
You're
yeah.
a pussy because you're a Libra. So what the fuck?
But yeah, I think the point I was trying to make is like it's the worst thing you can do is just brush it off and not acknowledge it and just put the blame on some other external factor but yourself.
Yes. Because it
And
starts
that's-
with you.
It starts with you.
It always starts.
That's with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyone can change. Just you need to realize that
You need to do
there's
work to
no
change.
you need work to, you need to do work to change. There's no external factor that's preventing you from starting a change. Of course, external factors like influences can hinder your progress, and we talked about that earlier, but it's up to you to kind of like do the work, put in the work to be a better person.
Yeah. So the last question we have here is this: do you think you're what the fuck am I trying to say? Do you think you are able to have empathy for someone who has hurt you, or is continuing to hurt you? If you want to share something, feel free to. I feel like there's so many stories I can share.
We got stories.
I think
we got stories and stories. I'm trying to choose one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I need to choose one. I probably have like lots of stories. I think I've recently been doing a lot better with not holding like grudges, because I definitely didn't want to become the person that hurt me, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So actually, speaking of astrology, I'm thinking about this one instance where I actually was like wronged by an astrology woman. So this person, and we just got in a debate of whether astrology was real or not, and perfectly normal, very crypto bro guy and astrology woman. Just kidding, I'm not into crypto, but I'm a person that I'm a person that like uses a lot of psychology and sociology and like learned behavior and nature versus nurture to explain why people behave the way they behave. And so obviously I don't believe in astrology. Again, it's an ideology. I respect it. It's just like religion. That's how I see it, right? So obviously we got an argument. I was talking about the Barnum effect and like all the scientific things I found about like astrology, why it's bullshit, and like so if you guys don't know, I'm an Aries. So what Aries means is that I'm hyper competitive. I'm a natural born leader. I'm a fire sign, so it means I have a short temperament. So it means I get angry pretty easily. So this person would, especially when she was with someone else, would call me an angry Aries. And so this person would always like instigate shit and like just be very disrespectful. And when I tried to confront, it was like, oh, I'm just joking. Like, you're just an angry Aries. I'm just joking. Right?
Yeah, look.
Yeah. And like, the whole self-fulfilling prophecy. I really saw it happening before my eyes, right? And I remember getting an argument with my partner.
That's a bull.
At the time and she was definitely on the rational of forgiveness. I was in the rational of setting boundaries. So we both had good points. It's just a matter of like how to deal with it. So I was like, she's like, you gotta turn around the cheek. And I was like, fuck being the bigger person. They can suck my dick. I don't care. So literally I was like stop it, right? And I'll get upset, right? And they would keep doing it, right? So eventually at one moment, I decided to take my girl's advice. And I was like, you know what? Just let it go. Don't entertain it. I'm also facilitating it and it's going in circles. Just let it go, right? So this person, this astrology woman, let's just call her Joe, whatever the fuck. I know, it's
Joe Mama.
Joe Mama, we call her Joe. Joe texted me saying how like, and she was like kind of thinking with one of my friends, right? And she was like telling me, oh, like me and whatever his face like went on a date, like, and like, it went well. And like, at the same time, also trying to practice active listening. So I was like, oh, that's great. It's good to hear, whatever. And then she was like, "You're supposed to tell me what to do, bitch." And like, I was just, and obviously it was one of those jokes thing because I know her sense of humor, right? So I was like, but at the same time, I was like, she's saying that as a half joke, but I know she's trying to instigate shit. And I was like, and I can't remember exactly what I said, where I was like, because I always make fun of her being a people pleaser, and I was like, like maybe you can make a decision on your own, idiot, like you know what I mean. And so me and my girl always were having a fight all the time. Like there's a time like, when that phase in relationship where you and a couple are always fighting because you're kind of getting used to it, right? Yeah. So we're in that phase, right? So when Karen was kind of like upset with me, she talked to this astrologer girl who, again, I understand people pleasing is a very bad thing, and I know where it comes from, blah blah blah. But she was telling Karen about like how I called her an idiot or like whatever, and like how I treated her wrong and everything. But she did not mention that I called her that she called me a bitch.
Yeah,
she did not mention that, right? And I knew because she believed I was an angry Aries. She believed I had a low temperament, and I was upset because I was an Aries. Not upset because of the way she treated me. I was upset because I was hurt, and I just wanted her to understand that. And it was so fucking difficult for this person to understand that. So fast forward to like this situation where we're like a debut and we're in public, right? And Karen is like upset with me. She is like angry with me, right? And like I didn't understand why. And then she like brought up the whole situation, right? Like to I guess like reaffirm that like I'm being a fucking asshole, right? And like I was trying to like explain like, did she not tell you the whole story? And then like and so at a point I pulled out the text message because it was during text, and I slammed it on the table, and Karen looked at it, and we both shut the fuck up because we knew the situation was being manipulated by a third party.
Yep.
By this, astrology person. So after that, I was like, you know what? If she can see me as an angry Aries, I'm going to give that to her. I'm going to fill that prophecy. I don't give a fuck. Do not talk to her. I did not like entertain her. I was a fucking asshole, right? And then she got like, oh my God. And she like started to worry and everything. And then finally, like, after like the flames were going off, we decided to speak, right? So I talked to her and I explained why I was upset. So I was explaining that I was constantly being antagonized. I would explain that like you don't have the right to tell my girlfriend that. And I was trying to explain about the whole angry Aries thing. And before I can even finish what I was trying to say that I was upset about, she started apologizing before I could finish. Or I was like, you're not actually sorry and like acknowledging what you did. You just feel bad because I'm like super angry right now and being extremely assertive with my boundaries. That's why you're saying sorry. You're not actually sorry, right? And like I remember telling this story because like it sucked because like I tried to take my girlfriend's advice and I got hurt from it.
Yeah.
And so going forward, that whole situation, I had such a hard time respecting my partner's decisions. Every time she said something, I would ignore her. I did not value her input in anything, right? So then, like, you know, a huge strain was put in our relationship because this fucker did not want to acknowledge that I'm hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like one of the, and like, you know, and then I was like telling her about like, you know, about like what you told Karen. It's like, oh, like when I said that, I just said it because I cared about you, blah, blah. And I was like, you're so full of shit. You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, she's done that multiple times to not only me, but she's also done to Karen as well. I'm not going to mention this person's name, but like, you know, I'm able to look past that because I know that this person was like, had a huge people pleasing issue. And I know where that stems from, right? Where she really wanted to find validation for people. So she would always agree with people, whatever. So when Karen was upset, she was trying to like reaffirm her belief to make her feel better. But that shit doesn't, you know, but she didn't know better, which is like, that's what I'm willing to understand, where it's like, she fucked up, but she's not a bad person kind of thing. And that took me a while to like really comprehend, but it took a while to fix that kind of like trust that I lost in my partner. Right. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, and I know, my girl, we both say this too, is like, you know, she's a good person, blah, 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 but like, I just don't trust her. You know what I mean? That's fair. You know, and so every time we talk to her, like, we're very, like, we don't share anything. Yeah. We just talk about how we're just quiet about everything. If she asks about something, we're just like, we give a very, you know, respectful, polite response. And like, you know, we know she's a good person, but it's like, because my biggest problem with the whole people pleasing thing was she wasn't people pleasing everyone. She tended to people pleasing the people that had more credibility. Yep. Yeah, the people who are, you know, more famous. Yeah, so that's where I was like, I couldn't really empathize with that. Where I was like, I feel like you're just kissing ass to people who have power, and the only reason why you're, Anyway, so again, not a bad person, but I understood where her behavior kind of came from, and it's cool because I'm able to talk about this without actually like getting upset, because like, especially because I was able to mediate the conflict between, you know, Karen and I, and also like, you know, I do wish her success in whatever she's doing. But like, that was a situation where like, it was it was a traumatic experience, which, like, having to deal with like an astrology person kind of just like painting me as a bad person and not really being able to like show that I have the capacity to change, because like they believed I was a short-tempered, angry Aries kind of person, and that the reason I'm angry is not because I'm hurt. I'm angry because of the stars, and like you need to acknowledge that you hurt my feelings. Like, you know what I mean? Again, I don't want her to get that closure. She will never acknowledge that. She still believes in astrology, blah, blah. I can sometimes I see her still elicit that behavior, but you know, she's not in my circle anymore. So like, I just don't really care. Yeah. You can crop that, but that was kind of long. Sorry.
No worries. No,
that was good. I guess I can go. I think the biggest kind of center of forgiveness that kind of I have, what was the question again? Sorry.
Have you been?
How many dumbbells can you body in 5 minutes?
How many dumbbells can you body?
Don't ask that question. Back? Oh my god.
I do have empathy for the person that has hurt me, and to be honest, has continued to hurt me to this day. I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but I don't have a super great relationship with my mom. Like, even though she's walking upstairs and doing all that stuff. Like, I personally, and Lawrence can attest to this, I personally just don't have a good relationship with my mom. Like, obviously it's civil. Obviously I'll say hi, but I don't remember the last time I hugged my mom or even like told her I loved her and stuff like that, right? And that's just because of the kind of like the trauma that I'm holding on to in the past. And like, I think the reason why I asked you guys the question is like, I forgive you, but I don't think I'll ever be okay with you, is because I had to constantly ask myself that whenever my mom would like do something unjust to me and like would just constantly berate me or constantly just like bring up like petty or small things. Like, I just think that because personally my mother has been known to hold grudges for the most part, and that grudge and that kind of behavior kind of leaked into our kind of like conflict management style. And so whenever my mom would try to manage a conflict where I would try to, especially when I got older, obviously when you're a teenager, you just become a hothead and you scream at them and you yell at them and you argue with them.
That you're going that authority conflict, which is normal, like it's a teenager thing.
But when I got older, it was more like I would just start to try to calm down and try to figure out and be more empathetic to see where she's coming from. And like a lot of the times I was asking myself, like, why are you saying this? Or why would you bring this up? Or why would you do this? And more often than not, I'd just be like, she's just saying it to instigate. She's just saying it to make me angry or just to get me riled. And I think she just wanted me to see she wanted me to see where I was wrong, but she also wanted to see like kind of like an emotion out of it or something. I don't know what she wanted out of it. And I was constantly asking myself like, why? And at this point, in my life, every time I kind of have a conflict with my mom, I'm just like, all right, whatever. And I just leave. And that's my conflict resolution with her now, because now it's like, especially when dealing with my trauma and thinking back to my trauma and thinking back to like what I had to deal with, it's more like, I forgive you for doing all this shit to me when I was younger. I forgive you for not like properly showing me what like love properly is, what forgiveness properly is, what how to be healthy mentally. Like I forgive you for all that stuff because I learned it myself. I'm slowly developing what it is to be normal and healthy, but I don't think I'll ever be okay with you because you caused that much trauma to me. And like say what it is. It's a toxic relationship, even though we live together with each other. But that's just how it kind of how the dice rolls. You know what I mean? It's just kind of how I just kind of have to hold that. But I don't think that I would be in the same state or same sound of mind I am today, or kind of the same kind of positive, healthy situation I am in now, if I didn't learn how to forgive her first of all. Yeah. Because I think back then, I was holding on to a lot of that resentment, and I wasn't forgiving a lot of like my romantic relationships, a lot of my platonic relationships, and I was bleeding into everyone. Like I would always see like someone, like especially I'd say like even my most recent one and then the one before that, I was tending to see like, I was almost confirmation biasing myself, because I was like, my sister makes this joke is like, you're gonna eventually marry someone like mom. And I hated that sentiment. I hated the fact that like I was gonna marry someone like mom, or they would always joke around about it. And like, obviously it's like a joke, right? You laugh about it, but at the same time, I didn't want it to be the truth because I was like, fuck. I'm not gonna say, but
they're manifesting it.
Fuck this situation, right?
Yeah.
I just think that like I was just like, and then every time they would kind of show traits that my mom would have when we would argue back then, I would always be like, yeah, see there, I'm actually dating my mom. Like I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be like this. And then I bring it up to my partners, and then my partners would be like, okay, I won't be like that, or they get offended because they'd be like, I definitely don't act like that. I'm not that person for you. And constantly I would try to buy myself into that. As soon as I saw it, I'd be like, yeah, this person is
immediate red flag.
This person is that. This person is a red flag. Like I can't be with this person anymore. And it was something that I had to kind of like work through, especially in my most recent relationships. It's something that I had to work through and be like, okay, she's not her, but I need to learn how to like forgive.
Yeah, because like especially when you grow up in that environment, you know that that's not the way you want to be loved.
Yeah.
And so when someone exhibits that behavior, it's like your whole body can feel it being bad. Yeah. And so you're like, get this shit away from me. Yeah. And so then, you know, you tend to maybe say something harmful, or, you know, like push them away. And then that doesn't develop trust, and then the relationship kind of falls apart. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Nah, like my thing is kind of similar to yours, and how to like forgive your parents for like the way they treated you.
Yeah, it was very hard. Yeah.
Like especially, I think this is more prevalent in like immigrant households and stuff like that, and especially if you're like a first. I don't know if I'm getting.
I think it's second generation. I think we're second generation.
If you're a second generation like immigrant, it's really hard because I saw this thing on Twitter. It's like we have the luxury of pursuing like I don't know the term is like self-realization, something like that.
Psychological needs, self-fulfillment.
Yeah, self-fulfillment. We have the luxury of pursuing like self-fulfillment, while our parents were just in survival mode the whole time. Yeah. Because like they're new to this country, they gotta work. Sometimes they gotta go back to school.
Soft skill boundaries, those don't exist.
Yeah,
it's
no,
food, money.
Yeah, like, food, money, exactly.
And then power.
And then when they see you like trying to do stuff that's good for your own like development and health and doing stuff they actually enjoy, they're like,
That's
why
such a
are you
fucking
doing
waste of time,
you're
bro.
wasting your time.
Why are you
Like,
dancing?
Yeah.
exactly, bro. Like, yeah, it's like go study, go like
Why you
make
playing
something
video
of yourself, right? And then like that, I think a lot of people can resonate with this, and the feeling you get from that is like, why you're
Why you built like
Why
this?
are you doing this to me?
yeah, why are you like suppressing like my opportunity at life, right?
talent.
Like this is not your life.
You
This is,
work
like,
to give your kids opportunity, and then you're taking that away from me. Like,
yeah,
why? Like,
exactly. And kind of like the realization that, you know, our parents had to survive. You know, they came here with almost nothing. Sometimes, like if they're lucky, they had friends here that would let them, like for example, I stayed in someone's basement like for like the first 5 years I was here. So and realizing that, yeah, okay, so like they were just in go mode, whereas we, like when we're entering our like late teens, 20s, when like we've settled down, we've our parents and family have settled down here, like we're kind of like in a better place, and then they're still kind of projecting their experience when they first came here to you.
there's
Yeah.
scarcity mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly,
That's
that
fast.
that kind of like helped me too in my work ethic and my look on life and stuff like that. But it also showed me like this is not like the mentality I want to have. And for the longest time, I'm like, my view on my parents was like, I don't want to be like you guys, right? But kind of like it as I grow older, you start to appreciate your like parents more and like what they've done
Yeah,
because
it's
as they
very
get
common.
older and like
Yeah.
obviously like everyone passes away and stuff like that. So like, you know, and I kind of resonate with your story, Ronald, because like, you know, your relationship with your mom and stuff. There is a time like to forgive your parents, even if like you don't verbally say it and you don't like reconcile
Yeah,
in like the best way possible.
Yeah.
It's important to like repair that relationship or like not view that relationship in a negative way at least.
Yeah, no, I could attest to like being an immigrant household, just being micromanaged all the time.
Yeah.
It got to a point where it was like, yeah, you're walking too hard,
Yo, for real, bro.
and you're just like, yo, I live here. I'm just, it's like 2 a.m. We're getting food. It's like, yo, like why are you walking so loud? And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, I'm out of here. Packed a bag, fucking left. Like it was like it gets to a point like where you don't have the tools.
Yeah.
Or you don't know emotionally or like what to do. And
You're too stressed to really do
and
anything.
you're just like, yeah, why am I like tiptoeing at home? Like it's
I want to
like,
crump. What the fuck?
yeah, bro. Let me fucking do a 6-step in my room. But yeah, no. I'm gonna chime in.
Yeah.
Because like I can definitely resonate with the immigrant family thing. Didn't know, now you know. I moved out, and it definitely did actually like rehabilitate my relationship with my parents. I was always cool with my mom, but my dad, however, it was very hard to get through his head, and it was very hard to like match the expectation of what I was supposed to be to who I am right now.
Yeah.
And you know, being the youngest of two was like the worst because like, yo, you have to be like your brother, he's
Yeah,
like
they
a
compare,
scholar,
yeah.
your sister's out and like on doing whatever, God knows what.
Fuck you, dad.
And I'm just like, man, like I can't, like it was so hard to carve like my own path and so hard for him to be okay with like what I was
Going
what I
through
chose.
where you're
Yeah,
at.
especially like in high school, like I used to dance.
Yeah.
I'm a dancer, or I was a dancer, and like they were all getting
He was
so
hungry.
mad that I was like out like past like 3 o'clock. I was like, yeah, like I chose to do this extracurricular thing, like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like this is my first thing. I used to be like do sports in like middle school and stuff. Like I'd be staying past 3. It was just like when I had more of a responsibility to be home because my siblings weren't. They would look towards me and like, dude, like I got my own life. I got like clubs to do. I got like people to meet. I have opportunities to like go through. And my mom took it really well and she understood where I was coming from. She didn't try to stop me. My dad, however, was like very like, you're wasting your time. You gotta go to school.
Projecting his ideals on you.
You know the 9. Go to school, get a job that you fucking
get depression, but then pay for therapy later.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
and
sir.
stuff like that. And then it happened all the way up until like quarantine. Man, I was over it. I was like, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I like dug my I searched for a place, like met the people I need to meet to get there, and like told my dad like in a week before. Like it was that bad. Like I didn't even give him like a month to be able to like really recognize like, yo, your son's leaving. Because I was the last one to move out. My brother was in West Virginia for school. My sister at the time was on Australia. She lived there, so I was the only one at home. So that really hit him for me to be like, yeah, I'm like leaving. And he was like, when? Next week. Like, I'm out of here. It was bad. And it turned the tides for sure. And it didn't get till like after I was gone for about maybe 5-6 months to let him realize that like he was like, hey, like, how you doing?
Give him time to reflect.
Yeah. When you hear that for the first time from like an emotionally abusive like parent, you're just like, yo, what the fuck? What do you mean how I'm doing?
Yeah.
Why do you care?
Why do you care?
It's your first instinct's like, what the fuck? Like
it's defense mode. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely didn't take like, it's not like the most like, it wasn't the like perfect like repairment. Like we didn't like hug and embrace or say sorry. He was like, yeah, how are you doing? Like, are you like holding up well? Do you need food? Like, how's your rent? Are you paying it on time? Like, do you need money? Stuff like that. Like things that he'd never offered me before in my life. Yeah. And this time from like a dad that was like, hey dad, can I get a ride to my friend's house? Like, no, walk. Or like, hey dad, can I get picked up from school? It's just like, nope, I'm at work. So find your own way. Yeah. And it's like stuff like that. Like someone that has not given you the like fundamentals to enjoy your childhood. Yeah. And you just cover it yourself.
It's an absence of unconditional love, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, hearing that is just like very, I would say is like a form of forgiveness, even if it's not the true definition.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's, everyone kind of has their own story and own lived experience and a different perspective. Like, in the way I think is different because, and even though like we're all immigrant children, I think, we do relate to each other. We have a similar experience, but not the same experience.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
I think like a good way to end off that question, and I guess the episode is like, it's always hard to make that first step. Like we've all had experiences of making that first step towards forgiveness. But when you do, and it might be hard and it might take some time, but it always leads to, I would say it always leads to a good thing. Either you fix that relationship with someone that you've wronged or has wronged you or even yourself, or you just never see them again, which may be a good thing because if they're a toxic person, but it's always, I believe it's always going to lead to peace.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's a whole brother.
What do you guys think about forgiveness? Let us know in the comments. And
we appreciate all your guys' responses in this week's Instagram question.
Yes,
especially Jimma's.
Especially Jimma's.
We're gonna flash it. We're gonna flash it right now, bro. Pepto Bismol Andy, bro.
That's self-forgiveness. That's self-care, man.
And thanks
self-harm, bro.
thanks to our boy Flores for stepping in as our guest today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
To be honest, I came down the stairs and they were playing Smash. I was like, yo, Flores, you should just hop in the episode, bro.
So thanks bro. I appreciate it for sure.
I appreciate all the conversations. So this is the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Hope you guys like the content. Make sure you chime in on our Instagram and follow us on the socials, whatever. You can find them in the description. I'm not gonna list them out.
We also have a TikTok.
We have a TikTok. Go follow us on TikTok. We'll post like extra clips.
Oh my god. Renegade.
Are you taking care of yourself?
We hope
5 tips to take care of yourself.
Number one. Eat unhealthy. Take care of you guys. Take care of yourself, everyone. I hope some of these knowledge or experiences provide some insight for you. I hope you're able to heal and feel fulfilled and whole again. Have a great rest of the night.
All right.
Day, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.